day 3 of a 3-day festival, and I am completely excited to be here in the morning on a Sunday talking with you about nutrition and how to be healthy when you eat. So I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about myself. I woke up very early this morning and I got in the car. Actually, I went for a walk this morning. I live in Bendigo, on the outskirts of Bendigo, and I was lucky enough to see some kangaroos on my way in my walk, and it's just beautiful. It's especially beautiful before I come down to Melbourne and I get stuck with the Melbourne chaos. So my name's Sarah. Hi gorgeous. We run a health retreat up in Bendigo, which is this sign here. So we've been fully booked all weekend. It's been an absolutely magnificent weekend for us. We're on 20 acres on the outskirts of Bendigo. We practice the modalities of Indian medicine known as Ayurveda. So we look at cooking, nutrition, body therapies, trying to achieve health naturally. We also run an accredited Diploma of Ayurvedic Yoga teacher training. So I believe strongly in the power of nutrition, and when you look at nutrition and yoga, it just works so much better and you can really start to enhance your yoga practice. I'm going to start by telling you a little bit of a story before we get into some cooking. But before I do that, I'm just going to make a little confession. I have a problem. When I cook a lot. So I did this time slot on Friday and I think I ended up feeding the whole of the festival. I also did this time slot, this whole cooking demonstration at 4:45 yesterday, and I think I fed the festival dinner before they went home. Now we're back at lunchtime again. So my husband up the back says to me, Sarah, when you cook, why don't you use a bigger pot? And I say, because if I cook with a bigger pot, then we're going to just have more and more and more. So I'm trained as a pub chef. I know how to cook a lot of food very, very, very quickly, which is really good when you're a working mum and you're really busy. So I really want you to taste. So we're going to be making some zucchini and corn cakes. I'm going to be saying a little bit of why I'm cooking what I'm cooking today. I've got some fresh herbs with me. I've got a little balsamic vinegar if you need a little bit of a cool down. I've got a little bit of, if you need a bit of a pick-me-up. I've got some pomegranate molasses if you need a little bit of a cool down. But before I get on to all that, why do I do what I do? So a little bit about me personally. So when I was young, in my early teens to late 20s, I had anorexia nervosa and I was completely terrified of food. And I mean to the point of terrified, okay? I spent a lot of time in hospital. I couldn't see that I was skinny beyond healthy. And I was still completely anxious about what I put in my body. Didn't care about the mind. That didn't even come into it. Couldn't associate in a social setting because my body was so depleted, and it really affected my mind. When I was in hospital, the dietitians used to say to me, Sarah, you need double protein, double carbohydrate because your body weight's so low. And my mind was so terrified about what I put into my body, I just couldn't cope. Eventually I started practicing yoga and I got to the point where I could start to function socially, but I was still really quite scared of food. My partner and I ended up having 3 beautiful children, and I started to look at what I was doing and the patterns that I was doing, and I kept listening. Actually, I kept ignoring this knock on the door because it just seemed too hard, and it was Ayurveda, and it kept knocking, it kept coming up in so many different ways, and when you're meant to listen to something, it just keeps coming back to you. And eventually I started to listen, and I went to a beautiful Ayurvedic doctor, and she had a look at me and she said, Sarah, there's no fat and there's no sugar in your diet. And I said, yeah, so? And she said, so you're just depleted. Start to put ghee in your body. And she said to me, a cup of ghee, and I just went, no way, I'm not doing that. I will put on weight. I just can't do that. I did that. I trusted her. I dropped my baby weight like that. I've never felt so free and empowered in my whole life. So now my partner and I, my partner's seen my transition and my path to wellness. We seriously dedicate ourselves to teaching others about the power of food and the medicinal power of food, not only for the body, but so much so for the mind, which is where our health retreat comes in, and which is where our Ayurvedic yoga teacher training comes in. All right, so if you read between the lines, you might have picked up already, I'm a busy working mum. I love being with my 3 children. They're at home today. Thank you, Grandma, so that I can be here with you today. But I like nothing better than being with them and educating them. I like going to the supermarket with them. We go along the supermarket aisle and my poor angels, I've got a 9, a 7 and a 4-year-old, will say to me, Mum, can we buy this, can we buy this, can we buy this? And the other day I said to them, you know what guys? I love you. I know that I think differently about food. If you can pick something off the shelf and you can tell me what all the ingredients are on that product, I promise I'll buy it for you. We all walked out of the supermarket without anything and went home and made dinner. The moral of the story here is that we live in a really fast-paced society where we're getting all these messages of quick, easy, pre-packaged foods that our body, quite frankly, doesn't know what to do with. Our body intelligence is so destroyed that we end up getting sick. Now, I've heard Ayurveda, Indian medicine, say that the number one cause of disease in our lifestyle is stress, and it leads back to diet. When we have stress on our body, when our body can't properly digest food, it affects, I already told you, our mind, and it also affects the proper nourishment of our body. So we're going to cook something today that is very, very quick, because there's nothing worse than having to, in my opinion, nothing worse than having to soak lentils and change the water and be prepared and think about dinner a couple of days beforehand. I don't operate like that. I teach yoga at night. I have kids that do sports at night, that do music at night. I don't have the time or the capacity, rather. I don't make the effort to be able to pre-plan all of my meals. I'm not wired like that. So I want things that I can get on the table in 20 minutes. I want things that I know that my kids are going to eat. I've got good kids. I'm not going to say that I've trained them well. I think they are naturally already like that. If you can go that nature-nurture debate, I'm not going there. But my kids will walk out of the greengrocer eating a capsicum on the way home. So we're 15 minutes out of Bendigo, 100k an hour, and it means nothing for them to be sitting in the back of the car, all three of them in the back seat, munching on a capsicum, opening a punnet of strawberries or cherry tomatoes is another favourite in our house, along the way home. So things like lollies, things like processed food, it doesn't exist in our household. Before I get into the cooking, I want to tell you a story. I hope you don't mind me sharing this with everyone, sweetie. My husband turned 50 this year, and I hit the big 4-0. But for him, he decided to have a big party and a bit of a sleepover. So we had all of my in-laws over, and I don't preach to anyone what I do. I just try and live my life as healthy as I can. If people want to listen, and I love this, I'm more than happy to share. If they don't want to, that's fine. When they're ready to listen, I'm ready to talk. So my brother-in-laws and my sister-in-laws wake up in the morning with my nieces and nephews, and the first thing they say is to my kids, "Where's the butter? Where's the margarine?" And my kids go, "You mean the ghee?" They have no concept of what butter or margarine is. We try and live as healthily as we can with the most unprocessed food that we can. Why unprocessed food? Let me tell you why. Because natural food has more life energy. So I could have cheated. I could have gone to the supermarket and bought a zucchini, which would have been really easy for me. But if I buy a zucchini from the supermarket, I don't really know how much life energy is going to be in that food source. So I make the effort to go to the greengrocer. A little bit further away, I really don't care. I look at what's available in the greengrocer, and I'm going to start to decide my meal based on what's in that greengrocer, because I know that it's local. I live in Bendigo. How lucky am I? You guys have farmers markets around. How lucky are you? We also have a farmers market in Bendigo that is absolutely fabulous. I know anything there is going to be fresh, it's going to be seasonal. I have Croatian parents-in-law. I grew up with Polish grandparents. Their ability to grow vegetables in their backyard is phenomenal, and it appears on the dinner table. So when my little darling angels say to me, "Hey Mum, can we buy some strawberries?" and they're in the supermarket and it's June, and I go, "Oh God, I'm already saying no processed food. I'm saying you have to read what's on the label. Now I'm saying no to strawberries." And this is the conversation starter. We believe in education. The more education that we can give people, the more practical skills that we can give people, the more it starts to become part of daily lifestyle. So if I sit up here and I put my Ayurvedic hat on and I say to you, "Okay, in the morning, this is what I want you to do. I want you to get up, I want you to use a tongue scraper, I want you to do a daily massage, I want you to do yoga practice, then I want you to have a bath, then I want you to get up and have a morning drink, and I want you to cook yourself breakfast, go to work." Whoa, that's a lot. So what we want to do is start from where we're at. So I'm going to start just by making a simple pancake batter and start to twist that up. So I'm going to use zucchini. Zucchini in summer is out there. Our zucchini plants are going to blossom very soon. Zucchini is already hitting my green grocery shelves, which is a bonus because this is what I'm making today. Ayurveda works with a quality-based medicine. It works on the understanding that like increases like. You're a legend. I'll look after you later on, I promise. Nah, I love this festival. It works on the understanding that like increases like. I've just grated my zucchini. All I've done is grate one zucchini so far. You can see some of that moisture coming out of it. I told you before that I like to educate. I'm also a trained teacher, trained yoga teacher, an Ayurvedic practitioner, and a chef. So all these hats are starting to roll into one. And I've got a background in counselling as well. It all fits together when you start to understand the mind-body-spirit connection of how we live. When I graded this, tell me what you saw. You know, I have to speak loud so I can hear you. What did you see? Graded, fresh vegetables being graded, beautiful. You saw freshness. I love this, absolutely. It's completely fresh. It means that it's going to have lots and lots of life energy. It means that our body's going to start to be able to break it down, but we're going to give it a helping hand and cook it so it can break it down even further. What else did you see? Go for it. I love my muscles, thank you. I love that comment. Maybe yoga's working for me. Thank you very much. So I'm using a little bit of, can I say transformation? Can I go with that there? Yep. So I'm transforming this raw vegetable into something that I'm going to be able to cook. Really beautiful comment. Thank you very much. The other thing that I'm seeing, you might not see so much, is I'm getting liquid from this. Okay? So summer, if I think about the qualities of summer, summer is what? Dry. Did you say dry? That is the perfect answer, what I'm looking for. I live in Bendigo. We have deliberately bought 20 acres out on the outskirts of Bendigo, and it's seasonal. In our retreat, we have some beautiful, beautiful double glazed windows because it gets really hot and it gets extremely cold. And we can work with what's going on with the seasons. So at the moment, it's starting to go dry. So summer is very dry, summer is very hot. And I can see that so much more living in Bendigo than I can in Melbourne, where we drive around in our cars with the air conditioner on, we work in our buildings, we've all got the air conditioner on here. I get lost. My body intelligence starts to get lost. I can connect with what's going on with the paddock. So my practice of yoga changes according to the seasons. My diet changes according to the seasons. This has lots of moisture in it. So I'm going to counteract that dryness. Like increases like, okay? Raw food is very dry. Raw food is very rough, which means that if I have a diet of predominantly raw food, I'm going to have a really good digestive fire to be able to start to break that down. So I'm giving my body a helping hand again by transforming it. There's my muscles happening again by transforming my food and giving it a little bit of a helping hand. All right, so $3.99 a kilo, I reckon, for zucchini. Fair enough? So what's that? My maths isn't too good on my measurements. What's that, my teacher husband?
$1.
$1? Okay, so far $1. I'm trying to feed a family of 5 here. Or remember what I said? I'll end up feeding the whole festival because I told you about my confession in the beginning. Now I know, because I did bother to look at this one, I know that one of these is going to cost me $1 at the moment. It's on the supermarket, it's on the green grocery shelf for $1. So far, I'm going to cut up my corn, and I know I've spent $2 on making a meal for a family of 5. So all this processed food, quick, easy, at-home cooking that my kids and I can't even understand what's in the labels, we're already starting to be a little bit cheaper. And I've just started, and it's quick. If I wasn't talking to you, I'd have this batter made because I'm really quick. But I am talking to you and I'm enjoying it. If I wanted to be even quicker, I could have used a can of corn. How quick is that? My problem with using a can of corn is, again, it's going to be devoid, extinct of any life energy. It's a processed food, it's changed. It's been sitting on the shelf for, I don't know how long it's been sitting on the shelf for. So I'm going to choose to use something that's got a little bit more life energy so all the cells in my body can have proper nourishment. I could have used a frozen packet of corn. How easy would that have been? I'm sure it would have defrosted really nicely on the way down from Bendigo to Melbourne. I would have had a nice defrosted packet of corn that I could use about now. Same problem. It's going to be devoid of any life energy. I do not know how long that corn's been frozen for. I want to use food as fresh and nutritious as I possibly can because I've got 3 munchkins to feed. I love myself enough now to be able to nourish my body, to be able to nourish my soul, and that just helps me be a much, much better mum. And I love that guy over there with the camera. I want to give him as much nourishment so he'll be around for another 50 years. Hope you don't mind me saying that one either. All right. He doesn't know how much I talk about him when he's not with me. All right. So far I've got corn. Corn has a sweet taste. Ayurveda talks about different tastes in food. Zucchini has a bitter taste. I'm talking about the season of summer. I'm talking about something that is dry, something that is spreading. We talk about, if you like in Ayurvedic terms, we talk about too much heat is going to cause, if we eat too much heat, it's going to cause too much heat in our body. So I'm looking for really cooling foods, okay? The other thing I want to do, this is for taste. I want to put a little bit of onion in here. Now, onion has traditionally a more pungent energy here, a pungent taste. So if I was around winter time, maybe I might put a bit of grated onion in here and leave it semi-raw because I want that pungency to heat me up a little bit. But I'm in summer and I'm cooking a summer dish. So I want to cook my onion, and when I cook my onion, it's going to change it. It's like that again, that muscle with the grater. It's going to transform it. It's going to make it into a sweet taste. So far, all I'm doing is playing with my food, but I'm manipulating it. And if I see my kids playing with my food, their food like this, I'm not going to yell at them because this is good playing. This is thinking, what's going on? What are you putting into the food? What's in the greengrocer at the moment? Avoid the supermarket if you want to. What's going on? Look at the garden. Go out. If it's growing, then it's telling us that we need to eat it right now. This is the season of bitter greens. I know that my spinach and my kale, beautiful, it's flourishing. I know that very soon that my zucchini in the garden is going to grow even more. It's telling us, nature's already telling us. And when we start to connect with nature, we start to restore our body's natural intelligence. Food becomes medicine, it doesn't get lost in our body. When food gets lost in our body, when we start eating food that is processed, that is devoid of prana, that is artificial, white sugar, we are bombarded with the message, don't have sugar, don't have sugar. I'm going to say, yeah, have sweet, definitely have sweet, because I said before that I saw this beautiful Ayurvedic doctor, hello darling, I saw this beautiful Ayurvedic doctor that encouraged me to put sweet and ghee in my diet, and it completely changed. We need sweet. I need sweet more than my husband needs sweet, because I've got fire naturally in my personality, and I've got passion naturally in my personality. So I don't need to heat myself up. So if I put a chili in here, all I'm going to do is heat myself up too much, right? Hello? All I'm going to do is heat myself up too much. However, my husband over there, he needs a little bit of a kick-me-up because he's naturally got earth and water in him, and he knows this. He knows that I talk about this bit, I think. So he would benefit really well from having a little bit of chili in here because it's going to counteract. Because I told you at the beginning, we're working with the principle that like increases like, yeah? Okay, I have corn, zucchini and an onion, right? Easy, 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 easy peasy. Could have done this in 5 minutes if I wasn't talking to you. But I am talking, so I'm rambling a little bit more. Now, I want to put a little bit of flavour in here. This is for the sake of transport. I'm going to use a Himalayan rock salt in here. A little bit of salt. My Croatian husband really, really likes the salt. I'm going to go easy on the salt. I don't need as much salt that he needs. He needs that little bit more energy than I do. I've got enough energy. I'll burn up. If I burn up, I'm going to experience things like heartburn, indigestion. Possibly, if I'm not balancing my food properly, I might end up being a little bit critical. So if he says something to me, hello, if he says something to me like, if I'm talking to him and he's taking a bit longer to answer, I might snap, but not be aware that I snap because I've got too much fire. And I told you before that food affects the mind, food affects the body. When we start to connect the dots together, we can say, oh, right, that's probably because I had that chili curry last night. Maybe that's why I'm feeling a little bit snappy or a little bit aggressive. You start to connect the dots. I'm going to put a little bit of baking powder in here. I want this to be as natural as I can. I want my kids to eat this, and I want them to have, and I say this with completely inverted commas, I want them to have normal food that they feel like everyone else is having, but I've manipulated it and I've played with it. Bit of baking powder, bit of pepper, Generally I would use a black pepper with a crusher, but that's so heavy to carry, so today I didn't. Carrying these is bad enough. A little bit of black pepper for taste. Okay, easy peasy. It's cost me nothing. It's cost me next to nothing, seriously. Go out to the garden. In my garden, oh, basil. Let's avoid the pizza for a minute. Let's put the basil in here. Again, this is gonna heat you up a little bit. Okay, and it's got the benefit of tasting really, really good. I'm just gonna chop a little bit of fresh basil. I could, in the past, when I've done these cooking demonstrations, I've used spices. Today I've decided not to use spices. I've decided to use fresh herbs instead. I'm going to use a little bit of parsley, not only for flavour, but also for the beautiful health benefits that it gives, and the colour. So if I was going out for a barbecue, for example, I might bring some of this batter and I might cook it on the barbecue. I'm going to share a little secret with you that is going to stay between us and no further. I have a very patient husband, and I had a dream about helping other people achieve health naturally. And that's what we've dedicated our lives to. To do so, unbeknownst to us, we didn't realise that our house that we've built, the retreat that we've built, was going to take 2 years to build. And we went, whoa, we're kind of in a little bit of trouble here. So we lived on our 20-acre property in a caravan with 3 angels at that stage. And I was a definitely full-time at-home mum. And our youngest one was 1. And that's no mean feat. In our caravan, we had a gas cooktop, and I looked around and said to Zelko, my husband, I cannot be at home with this girl on our 20-acre property with no trees, because it's a cleared paddock, and feel comfortable with having a gas stove in our caravan. I'm just terrified she's going to turn it on, and I'm not going to know. So I ended up buying our electric cooktops. We bought a barbecue, put it outside. That's what we cooked on for 2 years. So I got really used to cooking lots of things very, very easily, very, very quickly, because I didn't have the cooking facilities. So when you're going out to the family barbecue, it's Christmas coming up, if you're feeling like you don't have anything to bring, or you're sick of if you're a meat eater and you're sick of the sausages, try something like this. These are amazing on the barbecue. I've cooked a really quick pizza on the barbecue. I've cooked apple crumble on the barbecue. I've had custard sitting on the stove while I'm cooking apple crumble on the barbecue. It really works, you know. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some wheat flour in. I have a lot of people that tell me I'm gluten-free. I will say to them, as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I respect that. Before I go any further, we've got a whole lot of different people on that Soul Kitchen board up there. I respect each and every one of them. What I'm saying is not to preach to you, but to show you a different method of living. I would say that raw foods, from the Ayurvedic perspective, unless you've got a really, really strong digestive fire, it's not going to be able to break down in your body. We're going to give it a helping hand first. I might say that the paleo diet might be really good for one body type, once you know yourself. For another body type, it might actually be quite toxic. I might say that a vegan diet for one body type might be really, really good. For another body type, it's not going to work for them. I might say a vegetarian diet for one body type is really, really good. For another body type, they need meat. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. So in the very beginning, I said to you when I was in hospital with anorexia, and I was told double carbohydrate, double protein, that wasn't working for my body type. It wasn't working for the up here. I needed the education first to understand what I was putting in my body and to understand that response. This is the power of Ayurveda. This is where it works. This is where it becomes not only a quick fix, but lifelong medicine. It becomes a lifelong practice. So a lot of people tell me, I can't eat gluten. I'm a wheat-free diet. First thing I would say is, I respect that. Now let's try, if you're open to it, let's try and see what happens if you toast it a little bit first, or if you start to open the grain and break it down a little bit. And if you choose not to, I respect that, and we can avoid the wheat, maybe. And if you're ready later on down the track, we might try that again. But it's trial and error. See what happens with you and your body and your mind. So I am going to use a flour today. I'm using a whole wheat flour. This is called adder wheat flour. And I'm going to start to break it down by heating it. I absolutely don't like chickpeas. They're not my friend. I don't like the taste of them. I don't get adverse effects like some people tell me that they do. I just plain don't like them. I do know though that they're an amazing source of protein, and I choose to be vegetarian because I have a naturally hot constitution. And I know that the meat's going to heat me up, and I feel much better and much lighter without it. But that is my choice, my body type. So I'm going to play with some chickpea flour. This I can tolerate, and I don't get that crunch that I personally don't enjoy of chickpeas. And if you do, power to you. It's just personal preference. So I'm going to put some chickpea flour in here. So I know that I've got a little bit of protein in my dish. I cook to eye. If you want the recipe, please feel free to put your email on my mailing list up here. Otherwise, I can't tell you the recipe now because I cook to eye, and you might see me add a little bit more, told you I'm a chef. I kind of just do what I do. But I have broken it down for you, so if you want it, you're more than welcome to send me an email later. I'm going to put a little bit of egg in here. I'm making a pancake batter. When I started my chef apprenticeship, guess what they had me doing? I'm very good at working with 2 pans at the same time, and I have made bucket loads of crepes. That's what I did for the first year of my chef apprenticeship. Wouldn't wish that on anyone. And the first one never works. But this is essentially what I'm making. When I was a chef, I'll just finish off my batter first before I keep going. Now, I told you that I could have made it gluten-free if I chose to. I could also make this vegan if I choose to. I could put I could delete the eggs. I could put some water in it instead of milk. I could put some coconut milk if I choose to instead of milk. However, I know me. I know that I need dairy because I need that sweet taste of the dairy to start to bring down some of my fire. And I'm going to cook my milk, so I'm not going to have raw milk. So I'm choosing today to cook with my milk. And I'm going to, I always get messy, excuse me. Probably need an apron here. I'm going to stir this up now. Now, realistically, give me a time on how long this would have, I'm really messy today. Give me a time on how long this would have taken me to cook if I was at home and not talking. How long do you reckon? 10 minutes? Yeah, definitely would have been finished by now. We'd be sitting down eating. Thank you very much. I teach yoga at night. I don't have time to muck around. I would rather be with my kids, but I would also like to know that they've got a nutritious meal that mum's cooked or dad's cooked, because dad can cook this too. So I definitely would have been finished. Now, I said that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. I can manipulate this a little bit further. I could put spices in this if I choose to. I could change it and make it a little bit more therapeutic, increase those therapeutic properties. I told you I'd probably put a little bit more flour in there, possibly. I am going to. I could also put a little bit of bacon in there. My son is like his dad. He's got a similar constitution, personality to his dad. And the poor darling, I'll never forget the day I gave them, I think it was 4 vegetarian meals in a row, and he sat down one day and he said, "Oh Mum, for the love of God, can I please have some meat?" So I respect that. That's his body. He's pretty in touch with his body, that kid. So I could choose to put a bit of bacon in here, maybe, or I could use this as a side dish. So again, I can play with a basic mix. I'm just showing you a really basic mix for today. All right, this is looking nice. That beautiful colour. If I wanted to go a little bit further, I could put some spices in there, as I said, but I've got that beautiful freshness, beautiful summer lightness from those herbs that we've picked. Okay, so I'm ready to cook. Now, the problem with chickpeas is it often has adverse effects. We understand what I'm talking about? Yep. So let's go with the adverse effects conversation just for a minute. Ayurveda is lifelong medicine. It teaches you to look at yourself. It teaches you to start to understand yourself. First thing in the morning, get up, look at your tongue. What's your tongue telling you? Oh, I see some cringes. I love that. It's a realization. You start to become your own doctor. You start to become your own practitioner. Ayurveda translates to life knowledge. Understand yourself. You have the power within you to heal. I'm absolute working proof that you have the power within you to heal. You know it. You've just got to use it and connect in with it. I'm just looking at my heat there. So in the morning, wake up, have a look at your tongue. If you've got any coating on your tongue, that might be a sign that what you're eating is not actually digesting. So you might be having the most beautiful salad diet. You might be waking up in the morning and having, let's say, a diet of a breakfast. Let's go a breakfast that people think is healthy. Yogurt, fruit, nuts. And then you've got toxin on your tongue, and it's quite yellow toxin. The first thing I'm going to say to you is get rid of the yogurt, fruit, nuts, because they're incompatible with foods. Fruit is going to break down really, really, really quickly. Then you're going to have that fermenting problem of the fruit breaking down, waiting in your belly, while you're breaking down the heavy dryness of the raw nuts. It's not working. So yogurt and fruit and nuts don't go together. Have fruit on its own. Fruit is digested very, very quickly, very, very easily. First thing. Second thing, people that have the 3 o'clock crash, I'm going to say to them, okay, what are you having for breakfast? There is reasons why we eat a lot for breakfast. There is reasons why we eat our main meal for lunch, and there is reasons why we have something lighter for dinner. But our society doesn't work like that. We're a little bit backwards in the way that we live. When we have our main meal in the beginning of the day, great way to lose weight, number 1. Great way to feel fit and healthy, number 2. Because our digestive fire, we work with the sun, because it's all natural. It's all about connecting back with nature. Our digestive fire is strongest when the sun is highest. Our problem with something like a chickpea flour is it has lots of air and space in it, and it can start to have those adverse effects. So we're going to give our digestion a little bit of a helping hand by using ghee. Because ghee helps our digestion to keep at optimal levels. If you've ever seen the kerosene on the fire, if you've ever done a oven and you put the ghee on while we're saying the prayers and doing the herbs, ghee keeps that digestive fire at optimal level, which means that we can start to break down our food really well. I lost the heat. I had so much heat in my pans and I've lost the heat, so I'm waiting for it to come back. So I'm going to tell you one more story before I start to cook. I've worked as a chef for a long time. I'm a very good pub chef. I'm very, very quick. I have made, also as well as flipping pancakes or crepes, I have made thousands of salads, side bowl salads. Out here we have an abundance of restaurants, and it was perfect timing last night when I was up here last night. It was a gorgeous night, and I agree with you, I would have liked nothing better than to go sit along the Yarra here and have a meal with my friends. First thing we do when we go out for dinner is generally we get a bottle of water that comes to the table. Generally the bottle of water is cold, it's come out of the fridge, we drink it, well, down goes our digestive fire. We know that it's at night time, a lot of us choose to go out for dinner. It means that our capacity to break down that meal is going to be harder. We're not giving ourselves a helping hand. So we're just going to leave the water, or if we need the water, we're going to have it at room temperature. Now, the other thing that a lot of people like to do is to go to, let's say, a pub meal and a chicken parma with chips and salad. Do you want it with chips and veg or do you want it with chips and salad? Okay? And it's in the evening, generally speaking. The way that I've been brought up is the bigger the meal, the better. You get more bang for your buck. However, it's at night and I'm eating something that is heavy. One of these filled with a handful of salad leaves. There's my heat, really good. A handful of salad leaves, a quarter of a tomato, I know the drill, a quarter of a tomato, 1 piece of long cucumber in here, because it just kind of fits and sits in there nicely. If you're lucky and it's a good pub, you might get a little bit of carrot that's grated, you might get a little bit of red onion, and then you get dressing. Get this served alongside a heavy meal of a parma and chips. And then we're going to ask your body, okay, now break down this raw dish with this cooked dish. And the body intelligence goes, it's not happening. If we do this long term, it's going to start to build up toxin in the body. This is how we start to get sick. So, not saying don't eat salad, manipulate your salad. Everything's about manipulating, everything's about understanding. So in a minute, once I get these on, I'm going to show you how to cook, inverted commas, a salad. Like I said, unless you've got a really strong digestive fire, leave the salad alone. Leave the raw food diet alone. Leave the juices alone. Unless you can really break it down, and you can tell me in the morning that you've got no toxin in your tongue, that when you finish a meal, that you feel light and airy, don't feel bloated, you don't feel sleepy, you don't feel a little bit hungry in an hour or so time, you're not looking for something sweet, leave it alone. Come back, cook food, get your digestion right, and then later on, maybe, I don't know, it depends on your body, depends how out of whack it is. Maybe you can come back and do some raw food then. Everything starts with digestion. Your mind starts with digestion, your body starts with digestion. Later on, I'm going to be talking about the practice of yoga. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach to yoga either. We think it is. A few of us might think it is, but we can use the Ayurvedic principles of like increases like and starting to understand ourselves to start to change and make our practice of yoga therapeutic as well. All right. So we already discussed, if I wasn't standing up here rambling, we would have been finished. We probably finished our meal by now. And then we've finished our meal by 6 o'clock, so to speak, which means that we've got plenty of time to enable our body to break it down while we go into our evening night sleep. Perfect way of eating. Now, for me, this is kind of boring, okay? I'm looking for something else. I'm a chef. I don't like to eat boring food. I like to eat good food. We eat with our eyes. Hopefully you're looking going, We eat with our senses. Hopefully you're starting to smell a little bit. Starting to go, I hope she makes enough for everyone. I've got a fair bit of batter there. We'll see how much time I've got at the end. We also want to try and put 6 tastes in our body. Our Western diet has predominantly 2 tastes. Oh, let's say 3 tastes. We like to eat sweet. Our Western diet is full of sweet. Our Western diet loves salt. Our Western diet has a lot of sour in it. And we forget that there's 3 other tastes that exist. And they are non-existent often in our diet. That is bitter and pungent and astringent. I've got all this in here. I've been manipulating it, so I've got all 6 tastes in here, so I end up with a balanced dish. Instead of the food plate that we would see on the Western diet, where we've got a little bit of the carbs, a little bit of a little bit of potato. I was brought up veg, and what is it? A yellow veg, a green veg, a potato, and it's all around the meat dish, because the meat, maybe a lamb chop, or maybe sausages, or maybe chicken, a piece of chicken. Nothing wrong with that, except there's no spice, there's no therapeutic properties to that, and if I'm not sitting at optimal digestion, I actually can't break that down. So you could almost say that no wonder you ended up sick in hospital, Sarah, because your body wasn't conducive to what's going on. These are cooking up beautifully. So I'm going to make this a little bit more appealing, and I'm going to play with it a little bit more. My husband up the back, he naturally goes for sour, because he's already got that heaviness in him. He's already got that dampness in him. This is for talking. I hope you really don't mind on this one. When he sleeps at night, he wakes up and his pillow is naturally oily, because he's got that oily quality in him. I wake up and I'm quite hot and I'm quite dry, because I've got that natural heat in me. I don't need the sour, because it's got that heating element in it. What I need is a cooling down. I love sweet. I don't eat sugar, but I love sweet. Sweet potato, rice pudding. I love nothing better than rice pudding. I love dates. Oh my gosh. One day I'll come here and I'll make you the best icing ever. And all it is blitz dates that have been cooked with a little bit of cacao powder. Oh my gosh, then I've got the bitter, which is really good for my body type, and I've got that sweetness of the dates, and you don't even miss the sugar. The icing powder. You don't even need the icing powder, and that's delectable. It's absolutely to die for. I'm going to put pomegranate molasses with mine. I'm going to serve that with mine. I think that'll balance this really well. My husband, on the other hand, he likes to play with making his own pickles, and my daughter's followed him. So it's telling me that, you know what, she's going down the same vein as him. And so for him, he likes the balsamic vinegar. He likes that sourness and that fineness and that tartness to be able to kick him up a little bit. So we are having the same meal. When I first started studying Ayurveda and practicing Ayurveda, I had 3 dishes going at the same time. I had one for me, one for my kids, and one for my husband. And my friend said to me, what are you doing? Just change it, just manipulate a little bit. I'll tell you what, it made my job so much lighter and it made it so much easier to cook a meal. So just by putting 2 different condiments out there, we can start to choose. We can start to play around. All right, these are cooking up absolutely beautifully, and I've got so much heat here. So it also changes, the way that we eat should also change with our current lifestyle. So my kids, before they were at school, I could control it a little bit. I remember the amount of flack I got from my family. Like I told you, I don't preach to my family, I just live the way that I live. The amount of flack I got for not allowing my 1-year-old son to have any cake, his birthday cake on his birthday. Yeah, I am that extreme. He didn't need it. He didn't know. It was fun. It was for the parents, not for anyone else. Was really interesting to watch. They go to the supermarket, they look at the yogurts on the shelf, on the supermarket shelf, and they say, Mum, look, it's got Dora or whatever it's got, the latest thing. And I go, yeah, sure, look at the ingredients. Number 1, sugar. It's processed sugar, guys. We do not need that processed sugar. I'm sorry, sweeties, you can't have it. Number 2, you're growing up. You're in a time of life right now that is called kapha. You have naturally earth and water building within you, and I can't put any more of the qualities within the yogurt, of the coldness, of the dampness, of the stickiness within your body, because, sweeties, you're on your way to asthma, or you're on your way to a runny nose or a snotty nose, and I can't do that to your bodies. So we don't have yogurt in our house, much to their disappointment, but we do have milk. We have a lot of milk, and I cook the milk, so I don't use raw milk, and when I cook the milk, I make it lighter, and I make it much easier to digest. So, you know, I said at the beginning, you start where you start. And my kids don't like the cereals that I make, so, you know, I compromise. I'm allowed to have Weet-Bix, but they must have cooked milk with it, no buts. And even if I let that milk go down to room temperature, that's okay with me, but I'm still giving them a little bit of a helping hand. So when people come to see me and they say, Sarah, I'm at 3 o'clock, I'm looking for chocolate, I'm just craving chocolate, I say, what are you having for brekkie? And often they'll say, oh, muesli with milk. Or, like I said, the yogurt with the fruit, and I go, right, there's problem. Number 1, your body's not getting enough nourishment. It's just not happening. Try to change it around. Cook your breakfast. Start with a cooked breakfast. The smoothies, with love and respect, no. Unless your digestive fire is really, really strong and working optimal level, how is your body going to break down something that's cold in the beginning when we've already got earth and water sitting there because we work with the time of day? We know, I've said before, that the sun is highest in midday. That means that we've got lots of heat. It goes back down the other way in the beginning to have earth and water and dampness. And if you don't understand this, look outside. It's cold in the beginning. We're in Melbourne, for goodness sakes. We walk around, we have jackets on in the morning before we take them off. You can't go anywhere in Melbourne without a jacket. It's nature. So we don't want to put cold in our body. We don't want to dilute that digestive fire before we get up there. All right, so I don't want to be eating, and I've got chef fingers, so excuse my fingers. I did wash them before I came in. We don't want to be eating incompatible foods, and we don't want to be eating cool foods. We want to be watching our body's digestion. So I'm going to get my salad now, and I'm going to start to play around with it a little bit. I'm going to start to cook my salad. You saw me chopping up some onion. Oh, I'll just get these off really quickly so you can start to taste in a minute. You saw me chopping up my tomato there. Tomatoes are going to be growing in summer. I'm using all this beautiful fresh seasonal food. It's in the garden right now, or it's coming up very, very soon. I'll just flip these over a little bit more. I'm going to put in just a dash of ghee because I can. I might use a sunflower oil at home. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to put in a little bit of red onion, but I'm going to change my red onion around. Instead of using it raw and getting that sharp pungentness of the red onion, even though it's a little bit sweeter in nature, I still want to break it down and make it really, really sweet and really, really digestible. I'm just going to put a little bit of red onion in there, a little bit of tomato in there, and then watch how quick and easy this is going to be. And I've never cut an onion more awkwardly in my life. I'm going to say it's last day blues there. Alright, a little bit of onion. This is for the sake of demonstration. That's a very badly cut onion. I didn't want to bring my chef knives in because they're very sharp, and I thought probably not the best thing to be bringing into the city when you're leaving them over here overnight. So I've got just a dash of sunflower oil. Listen to this. Oh, yum-o. I feel like I'm on my way to something like a ratatouille or something like that. Give it a little bit of flash fry. Don't want to cook it too much, but I want to take some of that rawness out. While I'm doing this, I'm going to multitask, but mindfully aware. I'm going to put a little bit more of the batter in here so you can all taste it. So excuse this silence for a minute while I concentrate. and I put my mindful attention and my energy, because we want to eat mindfully, we want to cook mindfully, so that all of our good energy, there's lots of energy around here, all of our good energy and our positive vibes go into the food. And then you come up and you say to me, hey Sarah, your food was awesome, I want to know more. How can I cook like you? How can I get some of your ideas? Because you can never cook like me, because I can't cook like you, because you bring your own uniqueness to it. There you go, a little bit of batter there. Alright, so a fresh fly, I can't say that today. I've just cooked that a fraction, a little bit of baby spinach. I get stuck with sandwiches for lunch for my kids. I don't know what to make them. I actually really honestly get stuck. I think that's one of the downfalls of being a mum. You'll often find me making pizza in the morning because I don't know what else to do. I want them to eat. I want them to, not stand out from the crowd. So my way of just dealing with that at the moment is to get a piece of flatbread or make a flatbread, because I don't want the yeast. I try and avoid as much yeast as I can, because I know it's going to put stickiness in their bodies. And I just use lots of baby spinach because I know it's bitter. I know that it's available right now. And they have baby spinach, a little bit of tomato and a sprinkle of cheese. That's their lunch. They think they're getting pizza. They're happy with that. And I get lunch boxes that aren't full. I hate full lunch boxes being returned to me. So this is my salad. I've changed, all I've done is manipulate that. If I was at home and I was serving this, I would then pile up my corn cakes and I would serve them with a side dipping, either of the balsamic vinegar or the pomegranate molasses. All right, how am I going? All right, I haven't got much longer to talk. I'm going to start to summarise now, and I'm just going to keep cooking. My name's Sarah. I told you in the very beginning, I had a background of absolute fear of food. I suffered from anorexia really badly when I was young, to the point where it was completely crippling. I used yoga to start to get my mind back into the swing of things. Body, mind, we're in Mind, Body, Spirit Festival. How fitting is this? I couldn't function properly in my yoga practice because my diet wasn't conducive to it. I had a zero sweet, zero sugar, zero oil base in my diet. You can't get quiet mind when there's nothing to stabilise the mind. So I had this beautiful Ayurvedic practitioner friend who said to me, Sarah, I promise you, put some ghee in your diet. Ghee is going to help with that astringent, it's going to help with that airy spaciness that you're experiencing, it's going to start to ground your body. Anyone that eats my food today that is noticing that they're feeling gassy, I would completely question that it's from my cooking, because I'm using ghee, which is going to help to counteract that airy spaciness of the astringentness of the chickpeas. So you're not going to get those adverse effects of the chickpeas. Woohoo! And if you're like me and you don't necessarily like chickpeas, which I said at the beginning, I'm eating chickpeas. I'm still getting this protein, but I've manipulated it and I've twisted it, and I'm using a flour instead of the chickpea crunch. So I invite you now to come up. Yesterday I did this and it worked a treat, because I've only got 15 minutes changeover. It's really hard when you're doing a lot of cooking. I invite you to start to come up and think about, before you come up, think about how you're feeling right now. Are you hungry? Are you only hungry because you're smelling it, or are you actually hungry? Think about, I'm going to go here, think about your digestion from the other end. What's it like? What's it saying to you? You know best. If it's a little bit hard, what's it saying to you? If it's a little bit loose, what's it saying to you? Think about your tongue. What's going on your tongue? Have you got a yellow coating? Too much fire, generally speaking. Have you got a white coating? You know what? It's too much dampness. Have you got a line down the middle of your tongue? Is it shaky? Too much air and space. Start to lubricate. You are your own teacher. You are your own facilitator. You're your own doctor. Ayurveda food is medicine. Everything begins with what you put in your body. We have dedicated our life to teaching this. We have some training courses. I've got some course guides with me if you're interested. This is our schedule of our training courses. We spend the first 8 weeks. We've got an 8-lesson course looking just at introduction to Ayurvedic nutrition. We give lots of tips, we give lots of skills. It's all online. You can do it anytime, anywhere in the world. If you're interested, let me know. We've made it just $95. Then we've got one that's a little bit more advanced. That's a 20-lesson one. And then we move into our Diploma of Ayurvedic Yoga Teaching, where we're really, really serious about connecting the two together, mind, body, spirit together. Where we also run Aligning Health Retreat and Day Spa. We've been fully booked all weekend, where we have 20 acres out in Axdale in Bendigo, on the outskirts of Bendigo. We've got a day spa, we've got a spa outside, we've got Netflix and Wi-Fi. I drew the line at having a microwave in there because we don't want to, because we get rid of that life energy of the food if we use a microwave. So we try and encourage as much fresh cooking as we can. So if you're interested in checking out our retreat, we've got some specials just for this show, because we love doing the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival, because you guys are what we're here for, really. So we've got some special packages today. We've got a yoga class with accommodation up here. I can't remember how much that is. 165. Are you serious? Is that how much we put it as? Oh, no way. We charge $175 a night for our accommodation, including breakfast. That's a bit of a deal there. And the other one I know is $270, because a lot of people have taken advantage of that one. And that is 2 massages. Our massages use herbal oil. We match the oil according to your body type, and our massages start at $90 each, so already that's $180 plus, I already said, $175 a night for accommodation, and we're giving that away. And an evening meal in that one, we threw that in as well, so we'll cook for you. We threw that one in for $270. Deal is, pay today or by Monday, you've got 12 months to use it. So if you're feeling like you need to get away, I invite you to come up. Last 2 things. This is my #1 text. This has so much theory in it. We want to make Ayurveda is Indian medicine. It goes back to 5,000 to 10,000 years BC, depending on what text. Some texts say up to 15,000, right? We want to make it as applicable and accessible, this is the beauty of Ayurveda, to the West as we possibly can. I've had many conversations with Dr. Thomas Yarama in America. He thinks the same as I do, and it's so enlightening. He has created this cookbook, he said to me, so that the truck driver in Kansas can eat as well as the person in India. So we try and make it, I've just cooked Ayurvedically for you with 0 spice. I've just used fresh seasonal produce. I've manipulated it, I've twisted it. I can do some spices if I choose to. Today I didn't, I chose not to. But I want it to make it as fresh as I can. If you like what I'm talking about, we've got that there for $40. I've only got 6 copies with me today, and this is my #1. If you don't buy anything today, but I have resonated with you, get a tongue scraper. A few people yesterday said to me, I have a toothbrush, and on the back of my toothbrush, I use that. No. Thank you. The toothbrush is just going to put it in. You want to take it off. Look at your tongue. Wake up in the morning. If you've got something on your tongue, it's telling you. It's already there in your face. When we don't listen, we've got something in Australia. It's called, I love this idea, not that I like the concept, but the idea of the worried well. I've just got a bit of a headache. I'm just feeling a bit flat. Okay, listen to that. That is your body's natural intelligence. Me, I got passion. I took it to extreme. I took it to hospital stage. I took it to the stage where I actually couldn't function, because I had so much pain in my heart and it was all in my mind that I took it out of my body. That's what anorexia is, right? But it's listening. It's starting to intervene in the early stages. And when you listen in the early stages, there's so many diseases that we can avoid. Really, start to listen. So I'm going to invite you now. I've nearly got 2 lots ready. Come up, taste. Work out what's going to happen for you. Work out if you're going to have the balsamic vinegar or the pomegranate. I'll keep my microphone on, so if anyone wants to ask any questions, you can all hear me. These are hot, really hot pans here. Please, I ask you to be careful of the hot pans, and I'm very sorry, I forgot to bring serviettes with me. So it's pretty much a finger food today, but it is hot. I thank you for your time as well. Thank you so much for listening. It's been an honour to share with you today. Thank you.